This episode is brought to you by Alison Rich. Thank you so much, Alison, for your support. Stephen.
Andrew.
Fancy spending a quiet night inside number 9?
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, we're going into the scripts, and we are in Series 7, Episode 2, Mr. King. Exciting.
Yeah.
Nice to revisit this one. So before we start, in these episodes, what we do is basically go through the scripts, compare what we read with what we see in the final episode, and notice any discrepancies, anything that might be missing for particular reasons, and we speculate as to why that might be.
It's all we can do.
It's all we can do, yeah.
We've got nothing else.
And so, yes, we did a reaction episode back when it aired, which we would recommend going and listening to first if you've not heard that one, because, we go into a lot more depth, and we will attempt not to repeat ourselves, although, as is always the case, we can't really remember what we said. So
I was thinking, after we did Merrily Merrily, I wondered how much. We came to this sudden realisation, and it was like, oh, we've cracked it. I am wondering, I haven't dared go back and listen to find out whether we had that exact same realisation.
I think we did. I was thinking exactly the same thing when I was editing it. I was like, I'm pretty sure I had this theory last time.
It's just like we've been Men in Blacked, where we get zapped and then we just have the same experience again and think it's new.
I think that's exactly what has happened, which is a joy for us because it made it special. But probably not so much for those listening who are like, yeah, you've said all of this before. Guys, what's wrong with you?
Sometimes you're like, I wish I could experience that for the first time again. We did.
Yeah,
there we go.
Exactly. Yeah. How was going back to Mr. King for you?
This is delightfully dark and fun and bleak and uncomfortable and brilliant. Yeah, I like Mr. King.
Delightfully uncomfortable.
It is delightfully uncomfortable because there's just so much discomfort. So many little paired interactions that are just make you squirm.
Yeah. I think it was darker and bleaker and more disturbing than I feel like I gave it credit for when I first watched it. But yeah. And you just pointed out before we started recording that there was something in the beginning of the script book when they do the foreword about the series, about Mr. King and how it had changed from when they first sort of came up with the concept of setting it in a school.
I'm glad they abandoned what they were planning, because I think it sounds like one of those things that could have, that in your mind you're like, yeah, and then this, and then this, and then this, and then the moment you sit down and think about the practical reality of making that into a coherent half an hour, I think it falls to bits.
Yeah, it feels like the first step in the process of getting to the idea that they reached eventually. So, shall I read that bit out?
Yeah, go on, yeah.
So Mr. King began life as a school set story inspired by number 9 on the periodic table. A young student protesting against the fluoridation of drinking water glues her hand to a classroom wall. She then accidentally sticks herself to her teacher, the cleaner, the headmaster, etc., forming a human chain that mirrors the covalent bonding that the teacher is explaining in his chemistry class. We eventually came unstuck, so to speak, but we liked the school setting, the awkward teacher-pupil relationship, and the fact that the child was manipulating the adult. In fact, it reminded us of a certain 1973 film directed by Robin Hardy. Look it up. And suddenly we were in our element. It was a real treat to write a school.
Fifth. I didn't know that Robin Hardy wrote The Fifth Element in 1973. Oh, is it not that one?
It was a real treat to write a school assembly and film it with a small group of talented Welsh children. They did it beautifully.
The thing is, that to me does not in any way sound like an episode of Inside Number 9.
No.
Because I can kind of picture it happening. And it just sounds very silly.
It's just like slapstick. Yeah.
And, there's another one. Oh no, I'm stuck now too. It just sounds...
Don't worry, Alan, sticky. Oh no, I've got attached.
It's like an episode of Sooty. I don't... Is how that comes off.
And that's why they got unstuck. Yeah. Yes. So it's funny to think, because it feels like this was a ready-made concept that would have been there from the start.
Slam dunk, just, yeah.
This is our Wicker Man episode, yeah.
But it became that.
It became that.
And what's weird is that in their minds there is a line from that Sooty episode to an obvious line from that to their version of the Wicker Man.
Yeah. Yeah, which I suppose is it's the child-adult thing.
Yeah. But not in an obvious way at all.
Not in an obvious way. Yeah, so there's not a huge amount different between the script and the episode. There's just, little bits and bobs. Did you notice anything at the beginning?
No, actually, not until we got into Alan in the classroom. Really, we're kind of away a little bit, a little way in here. There was just a little thing of Alan's told the joke about Pinocchio and the whale. Mr. Edwards says that's because Pinocchio was eaten by a whale. Have I got that right, Mr. Curtis? Yes, it was just a joke. And then Steve says, "Oh, it was a joke." A joke. to really hammer it home.
Yeah.
Guys, you're supposed to be laughing at this point.
Do you remember what we do with jokes?
Yeah. Yeah, and then really, it is really just little bits and pieces. There was an extra little thanks added in when Mr. Edwards is checking in on Alan and seeing if he's doing all right. I did enjoy that little exchange about email. Is that the one with the little bluebird? No,
Yeah.
I think that's Twitter. Yeah, that's right. Yes, hashtag.
Hashtag.
Emails with the @ sign, isn't it? I think I've got a piece of paper with that on in my office.
Yeah, I love that exchange.
He's a really good character, Mr. Edwards.
Good in the sense of as a character.
As a character.
Not as a human being.
Not as a human being, no. Not a good human being.
Oh, Lord Summerisle. Yeah. I made a note of, I guess it's when some of the kids acting without direction or direction in the script, like when Owen says God farting and he blows his raspberry. And there's little additional things. And I'd love to know if that was
kids just being
kids being kids, and sort of taking it on themselves to just act in the way that they would want to act naturally.
That's what I'd do. If I said that, that's what I'd do.
God farting. Yeah. Alan takes 2 pills rather than the 1 pill from
most things come
the
in
tub.
2 pills, don't they?
They do, but it says he surreptitiously takes a pill from a tub. So, yeah.
I wonder if they go to the trouble of sorting fake pills, or whether they just have a couple of paracetamol. There's no need for fake pills. What's 2 paracetamol going to do to you?
It depends how many takes.
We've done this scene 6 times now.
And now we're off to hospital.
Maybe that's what happened in the episode where Steve had to be rushed to hospital.
That's a
with
good
the
question.
real drugs.
I reckon they probably have fake pills for. There's. I mean, it's probably like in the industry. They're the kinds of things that I reckon get manufactured as props. Yeah,
and there's probably some sort of rules about being allowed to just take whatever you fancy on camera.
I would think so.
Maybe that's why I'm not an actor. That's the main reason I'm not.
There was a little change on the Wicked line.
That's another good one as well.
Have you started rehearsing for your assembly yet? Mr. King's were always quite lavish, like West End theatre productions. And Alan says, I'll try and make mine wicked.
Oh, okay.
And in the script it says, well, I hope that mine will be wicked. We're clutching at straws
We
here.
are clutching at straws here. Very much.
Yes, and then I got excited when that thanks was cut because it was like, oh, something massive has happened.
We've made a rod for our own back here.
Yeah.
Maybe they just decided, you know what? This entire episode has already been through a big change in what we had intended. Let's make sure that what we actually write goes to screen now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they obviously had a very... And I wonder whether this was, working with kids and working in a way that they had to shoot separately, didn't they? The stuff that they didn't want the kids actually hearing.
Yeah.
So they had to be quite tight on...
Yeah, but on that, I was surprised first time round, and I am still surprised that they decided to do the Michael Jackson licking boys' bottoms conversation.
Yeah, that's true.
It's so weird. And I know it comes back later when they're asking him about what he'd discussed with Kerry, but it's such a weird thing for him to say.
Because he says that unprovoked.
Have you seen that Michael Jackson video? Not the one about licking boys' bottoms. So,
yeah.
What?
Anosis.
It's a very... Because he's a weird guy. Alan, or Adam.
Adam. That's great.
He's a strange guy. Like, when he goes off on one about the carrot penis and stuff, he's... Because the pills thing and kind of the little mentions that he's probably had a breakdown are almost secondary to the story. That doesn't really make a difference substantially to the story or anything, does it? Apart from the fact that maybe he's not really sure whether he's losing it or whether this is all real. Is this all some crazy thing, or
kind of easy to get into his head? And I suppose maybe he has been vetted from, like, as somebody who's unlikely to get a job in another school. So has he been approached for this and is nice and disposable in some sense?
Yeah, no one will notice. He's just this lunatic from the city.
Lunatic from the city who maybe has forming going missing. So if they come knocking, well, don't know. He was taking pills. That's all we know. And then he disappeared one day.
He did have some really quite bizarre conversations with our students.
Yes. And he wasn't circumcised. What? I mean, and he...
You said to tell us everything you knew. Those were your words.
He also made the children make him cups of coffee, which... like, should a child be boiling the kettle for the teacher in that way?
No way at all.
No.
Yeah, weird.
And do you know when Kerry says Mr. King once ate a goldfish?
Yes.
Do you think that was a goldfish in a coffee, or
maybe it was just the magic trick that
Alan
he tries to recreate later?
Yeah. No, I was wondering whether in future they'll be like Mr. King once ate tadpoles. It's maybe. Like, not because he chose to, but because we put them in his coffee.
There was for the third time, there was an emphasis on a mustn't rather than a shouldn't.
Oh, was there?
There was.
I missed that. That sounds exciting.
It was when Kerry was talking about the stinking rebellion. Stinking Rebellion, who you asked us to read about for homework. Oh, you mean the climate change protesters? You're frightening me. Oh, you shouldn't be frightened, Kerry. Became you mustn't be frightened. They've got form with this.
Yes.
I don't know why. It's weird that it's happening again.
It's happening again.
It's happening
again. The and there is a difference between the shouldn't and the mustn't in that sort of context, isn't there?
Mustn't really sounds more of a compelling, like an instruction. You shouldn't be suggests try not to. You mustn't suggest there is nothing to be frightened about. When there is.
There is the Stinking Rebellion.
The Stinking Rebellion.
Yeah.
Although we haven't reached Just Stop Oil yet. They could glue themselves. Although they do talk about people gluing themselves to stuff, don't they?
They do. Yeah, they do.
They might throw paint at your favourite artwork.
Or soup.
You mustn't worry, Kerry.
There's an added there in this bit as well. It's
there.
okay. Shh, there. I'm sorry it upset you. There. Have you ever said that to anyone?
There. No.
There.
Because it would feel incredibly disingenuous and
condescending.
And yes, and condescending, but also in a way that no one ever says that.
No.
There.
It's like something from kind of children's books.
Throwback.
It never actually gets said. A bit like, hello.
The police never say hello.
So it's repeated words in different contexts. Hip hip.
Yeah. People do say that.
People do say that. No idea why.
Hooray! No.
Hip hip. Why hip hip?
Why? Yeah, why? If you've got any, no, don't tell us.
We can look it up if we really wanted to know. There's talking of the fish bit, the carrot. There's a little instruction or a little direction that is cut where Alan is wiping the blackboard. We hear the sound of children departing. Alan sees the Harvest Festival display on a nearby table and spies a carrot. We just go. He's just straight in with the carrot, isn't he?
Oh, he's straight into his. Yeah, he's already prepared his carrot, so to speak.
Yeah.
To perform his trick.
And
then, he's straight into that, and then Mr. Edwards appears.
Sees him doing his carrot thing.
Mr. Edwards says that he would like a quiet word rather than just a word. He wishes to have. And then this is the. So yeah, I feel like there's lots of little two-person scenes all the way through that are all very uncomfortable. I don't think there's a single interaction between a pair of people that isn't weird in some way.
That's a good point. And there's something about two-person scenes where it then becomes your word against mine. And yeah, you kind of get gaslighted in a sense.
So we've had, I guess actually it started off with him in the classroom with Mr. Edwards there and everyone's there. And then we've gone into one-on-one conversation between him and Kerry. Now we've gone into one-on-one conversation with him and Mr. Edwards. Then Winnie comes in and doesn't make it any less weird.
She doesn't, no.
Alan and Owen have a little bit of back and forth in the classroom.
Yeah, they do.
Alan and Winnie have a very uncomfortable... So yeah, it's just a series of one-to-one chats that are all quite awful in their own way.
They are.
So yeah, this kind of kicks off this quiet word is where quite a long bit of chat happens and results in Steve taking Polaroids of Alan's penis.
Do you want me to give you a statement? No, I want you to show me your penis. Okay.
I enjoyed a bit of direction that Steve inserted into proceedings when he was blowing the Polaroid. That wasn't...
Sound like a lot of double entendre in the way that you just said that then.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. Inserted directions. Blowing the Polaroid.
And he wants to get to the bottom of this rather than I'm trying to clear this matter up.
Yes.
Another little bum joke.
Bum joke. Yes.
There is also, Mr. Edwards says, you've not been here long in the script, and in the episode he says, you're new here. And I'm not being funny, but I don't know you from Alan.
I
and
do
then
love
he becomes
those
Adam
things.
for the rest
Those
of the...
two little, yeah, that's brilliant. And the fact it just becomes, like, it just happens.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's names are significant here. It becomes from Alan to Adam.
Yes.
First man, Mr. King. Yeah, all of that.
Mm-hmm. Nice. You like a name.
I like a name.
Then there is... I said before about... there's the kind of the stuff with Owen and then Kerry coming back into the class. Oh, this is him having his little mini breakdown about the carrot. Is it because this bit looks like a penis? A big floppy penis? He's not right, is he?
Is that bit filmed in a way that the kids don't hear him saying that? I think it is, isn't it?
What, the floppy penis bit?
Yeah, you know how...
Oh, I see.
Like the kids were basically almost filming a different script.
Yeah, back to the camera had its back to the kids at that point.
Yeah, and it was just showing
makes sense, yeah.
Reese from... Yeah. I wonder what he said. That would have been quite good to have the script that the kids were working with.
Yeah.
Versus the script.
But again, not a lot of changes within International Classroom Day.
The discrepancy between the two images. In your favour, I have to add rather than I have to say. Again, clutching at straws.
And then Alan says his little piece. His incredibly subtle message to Kerry about if you're struggling, don't just make something up. Because that has consequences.
Don't go behind my back, okay?
And then he supposedly goes over to and has a chat with Gwen, but that interaction doesn't happen.
Yes. Sir, is this right?
Yeah, he doesn't
Let's
chat
have a
to
look.
Gwen at all.
That gets cut, yeah. And there is a bit cut in this next bit as well.
Hooray, there is a cut. Guys, it's all been worth it.
When Alan is collecting exercise books from the tables, as he carries them to his desk, a small piece of paper falls to the floor, which does happen. Alan picks it up, sees a crude doodle of a smiling man wearing a crown, his limbs akimbo, and beside him a small stick figure of a girl holding his hand. So then this next bit, Alan looks to the image for a moment, focusing on the crown. Then he gets his mobile phone from his desk and dials a number. He gets through to a voicemail. Hi, Megan. It's Alan Curtis here from Class 9. Mr. Edwards said he was going to dig out an email address for Mr. King. Is that term dig out is great. Who taught the kids last year, but I haven't had it yet. Is there any chance of chasing it up? Thanks. Bye. And then it says he remembers the postcard, which he reads, and that is in the episode. Yeah. But it's more like he stumbles on the postcard again, or like when he was
putting something. Yeah, something was going into his drawer, wasn't he?
Does he put the picture, the doodle in there?
I think so. I don't. It's weird. I don't. Maybe this was a time thing. Because is Megan
make the phone call?
Yeah, is Megan the PA?
Yeah,
because she was talked about earlier when they were talking about digging out as part of the silly conversation about Twitter and emails.
So that Alan could get in touch with him and find out what he was teaching the class last year. And
then this is Alan chasing that up.
Does Megan exist?
Well, how's he? Unless he has, I guess he might have Megan's number as part of just the
might be Mr. Edwards
in the arriving,
or a little burner phone that he sometimes answers as Megan.
Hello.
Like what's it? Cold Comfort.
Yeah.
Hello. Well. Norman.
Doris here.
Been eating all the apples again, have you? It's Doris.
Watching Fireman Sam these days is quite something. Even the old ones. That Norman child's a menace. How these days he would be shipped off somewhere. Did
he like set fire to things, or was he?
He set fire to stuff. He stole stuff. He skateboarded everywhere, damaging things.
Skateboarding.
I know. He's a degenerate. He was awful.
Terrible, Norman. Terrible.
Oh, we've digressed.
We have, yeah.
Not much happens.
Slightly relevant. Not much happens. There's a bit of a cut. Winnie, oh no, he was very down to earth, very conscientious. This school didn't have a girls' soccer team until he came along, when talking about Mr. King, who sounds too good to be true.
Yes. He started a girls' soccer team.
Okay. Yeah.
That's some Mr. King law that has just disappeared now.
It is.
That school still doesn't have a girls' football team. It didn't before, and it still doesn't.
Right. Maybe a future Mr. King will do that.
Maybe.
And Winnie is also more reluctant in the script to give him the key to the office. She's not supposed to let anyone have it.
Yes. I do, but I mustn't.
But actually, it's all part of the plan, really, for Alan to, like Sergeant Howie in The Wicker Man, to do his little investigation, feel like he's doing it and nobody's aware of it, but actually, no, you're doing exactly what we want you to do.
You've gone straight for the penis Polaroids. And that's exactly where we want you.
That's why they're there. We know what you're like.
Anyone listening to the recording of this podcast who doesn't know this episode will be probably very confused right now.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't recommend listening to this episode if you're not familiar with Mr. King. So I don't feel bad about that.
Feel bad about it.
Are there any red crosses on the pictures of the penises?
Oh, good question.
It says some have red crosses, some are marked with gold stars. There are gold stars.
Yes.
I did watch it sort of 2 or 3 times, but I was like, I can't keep going back and watching this.
Did it feel like you were...
My tape's wearing out in the wrong place.
Oh, imagine back to those days. Let's have a little look. Red crosses. No, just gold stars.
So all penises are approved of.
See, right now, as people are listening to this, they know that I am actually a person who is looking at someone.
You're looking at penises as we're recording.
I am.
Yeah.
I know.
I think that's the
often
first.
that people know exactly what's.
I don't think we've ever looked at penises while recording an episode before.
I like that you said, I think that's a first. Not, you know. Interesting.
Then we go to Exeter National School Day. We see the school set in the countryside. A local farmer is ploughing his field. And actually all we see is a stationary tractor and no ploughing going on.
No, it's just a sort of a shot through the crop, isn't it?
Shot through the crop.
And this is where it all sort of comes to a head, and it all gets a little bit, I think it was Last Night of the Proms, where when music's involved and you're trying to set a scene to particular bits of music, it's very difficult to do that.
Yes.
It all kind of gets a bit muddled around, and trying to follow along with it is quite difficult because things aren't quite in that order. And this is what happens here a bit, I think.
Yeah, it does very much so. Yeah, I think when they've included the words from the song, it doesn't quite match up. But I don't think that's done for any reason other than just the way it worked in the end.
No, there was a couple of little bits that changed. They didn't restart the music on the tape recorder when they circle around him, I think. They just play it. So the music wasn't restarted.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just them with their percussion. The haunting tambourines.
The haunting tambourines. Yeah, there's a couple of tiny little cuts and changes. Like in the script it says, we wanted to show you what we've been practicing for our assembly. And actually it just said, in the end they say, we wanted to show you our assembly. Mm-hmm. And Child 4 says in the 15th... In the script,
you can't just give them numbers, mate. Come on, they're human beings.
Maybe their parents, refused to have them named.
Here he is.
In 15th century Peru, children were sacrificed to the gods to try and end natural disasters. Is what's in the script. But as it was said, and maybe it was just the child messed up the line, but as it was said in the actual episode, it's in the 15th century, Peru children were sacrificed to the gods. And it just sounds so much better to say it that way than to say it as it is in the script.
And I'm glad you said that, because otherwise all you're doing there is you're picking out the child getting their lines wrong.
Yeah, no, they nailed it better.
Reveling in.
They've got a natural flair for the comedy. They know what works better.
Did you see Child 4?
Child 4, brilliant. And they also, Alan swaps to try and stop climate change to try and end climate change. Is there a difference between stopping and ending climate change?
No. I don't think there is. Bring it to an end, bring it to a stop.
Maybe stopping is more, it's kind of a temporary thing. Climate change still, it's like a pause in my mind to stop something. If you think of a tape, you stop the tape, but the tape is still there.
Primed, ready to go.
But if you end it,
that's it, it's finished.
You
take it out.
There's no way to go back to where you were.
Yeah, I'd like that this retro throwback reference of wearing out a tape and stopping a tape is really sticking with you today.
Well, they're using a tape in this. It's relevant.
Okay, that's true.
And Polaroids.
It's because they're in deepest, darkest Wales.
It's great.
Retro throwback episode.
Absolutely.
The final scene plays out a little bit differently. Mr. Edwards doesn't take a spade.
He doesn't take
with
a spade.
him, because I feel like that whole thing that's being set up as quite a quick process. Take him out, get rid, bury him, done.
Yeah.
All in an afternoon's work at the school. And
because Mr. Edwards does seem somewhat surprised that they're doing it today as well. And I don't know if that's just a part of the performance.
Maybe.
Or whether we're doing this today.
Oh, we're doing this. Okay, kids. Right. All right, kids.
Good job I've done the field.
Yeah.
He was out in the field, wasn't he, when he phoned him?
Yeah.
Maybe they took that as a sign. Oh, Mr. Edwards is out in the field. I was getting that ready for next week.
Preparing the soil. Which has given me just an image of him just, I don't know, pissing.
I mean, that's probably what he... Yeah, so that would suggest the spade is already out there anyway.
good to go.
But yeah, he's just sort of wheeling Alan around the classroom, isn't he? As opposed to, smiling, exiting the classroom and closing the door with a spade in hand. And that's where we get all of the verses of the song. Because it goes back to the start, and then you get verse 2 and 3, which are the only ones in this bit of the script. But
yeah, they were scripted. Some of it was scripted a bit earlier, weren't they?
Yeah. And then that's it.
That Winnie costume is awful.
It's creepy.
That head on top of
it is creepy.
And the mask itself. Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. As I say, like, I think the whole thing was a lot more chilling this time round than I remember it. Because I remember just enjoying it and finding it almost fun the first time.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe it was just sort of the reveling in the, like, it's the Wicker Man episode.
Yeah.
Amazing. Oh, look at this.
And it's amazing. Like maybe comparing to the Wicker Man and thinking there's a level of the feeling that I remember having the first time I watched the Wicker Man that was a lot more unsettling. And then knowing where this is going once you work out, this is the Wicker Man episode, and it doesn't end with him burning, shouting, singing "The Lord's my shepherd," and you basically see this whole village. And I think with the Wicker Man as well, it's that real isolating, and this has some of that, like the fact that he's totally on his own, but like he's totally isolated. Sergeant Howie has nobody, and he's on an island.
There's no link. That is cut off. Yeah, yeah.
So I think maybe I was just comparing it, and then watching this again, I feel like I was watching it as more its own thing.
Yes.
And yes, it has its own very, very creepy, chilling vibe. So, yes, great episode. Really enjoyed that. Really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we would love to hear what you think, dear listener. So... But,
how many episodes in are we? You've never said that before.
I've never said that. I'm going to take that out.
No, keep it
in. I just thought... I didn't want you thinking I was talking to you because you'd be like, what have I just been doing for the last hour?
Which would have probably made me go, no, he can't mean me. He probably means the dear listener.
You're always calling them dear listeners. Just... not usually when we're recording. We'd love to hear from you. Do send us an email, aquietnightinsideno9@gmail.com. I'm talking to you, dear listeners, rather than Stephen. And
go on. And potential dear donators.
We'll do the donators. If you fancy dropping us a few quid on PayPal to cover the hosting costs and keeping all of that running without us descending into adverts, then that would be very appreciated. We'll put a link to PayPal me in the description. I'm talking to you, dear listeners, rather than Steve. And Steve, you're welcome to donate if you want. But and we have Blue Sky at
you'd be forgiven for not thinking that we do.
Yes, we do. We do, apparently. I think I do get notifications when things happen. And then I'm like, Steve will respond to that.
The thing is, I think exactly the same thing, but not with Steve, because then that would be me. I think you'll do it.
Yeah. I think that if there's one thing I've learned doing this podcast, it's don't do a shared social media account because nothing will get done. Neither of you will take responsibility for it.
I think that would be the case even if it wasn't shared.
That is true. That is also true of all of my social media accounts. So
I think both of us have form with our own individual ones to start casting aspersions about it being down to the shared nature of it.
Just trying to make myself feel better about How bad?
No, we're both just absolutely terrible at social media, and that's okay.
That's okay. Yeah. So yeah, we've done a great job of encouraging people to get in touch there. We do read everything.
Oh, absolutely.
We just forget to respond. So
yes.
All right. And next time we will chat about the script of Nine Lives Cat.
Which could be difficult.
It could be a difficult one.
Difficult episode.
Or it could be absolutely right on.
Or really helpful. Because it was quite difficult to follow. Having it written down in front of us
might help.
Who
knows? Tune in next time to find out. That's a good cliffhanger. Well done. All right. Have a good week, mate.
You too, buddy.
Bye-bye.